Hey guys, it's the History Nerd, and we're back with another exciting episode of Europa Universalis for England. Now, I realize we are at war with Spain, and we are kicking ass at Spain. Kicking ass at Spain? Kicking ass in the war with Spain. There we go. But I decided, loading up this video before I started recording, that I'd go ahead and take a look at our trade nodes and see just WTF is going on. I'm noticing a massive hole in our trade regions, specifically the Caribbean. So if we take a look, let me clear my throat. A subtle reference to an old rap song. Go with it. It's early in the morning, and I haven't even had an energy drink or any sort of caffeine yet, so allow me to partake. Chemically delicious. Alright, so we can see in our Panama trade node, which we thankfully do control, we've got Christian Gloucestershire here, shift and trade on up into the Caribbean, and that's great. I want to keep that going on. But if we take a look, everybody basically is shifting trade out of the Caribbean. So the Netherlands, obviously, well, British Columbia is probably collecting here. Portugal, British Mexico, all of these people. Well, I mean, it just says that Cuba and, Castilian West Indies, Florida, and myself are applying trade power out in the form of roughly 40 ducats into the Caribbean, where we have nothing. We're relying on the 5 colonies, Florida and Newfoundland here, to shift trade out, as well as, I would imagine, Cuba collecting here. But we can see those dastardly Portuguese, those dastardly Dutch, and the dastardly Spanish, mainly the Portuguese, are shifting trade out of here in the form of 50 ducats. 51 ducats, basically. Well, that's money that we're not having. As you can see, we're going from pushing 40 ducats to 4. And then 14. And then, thankfully, because everything's basically leaving this node, 23. I want to do something about this. Now, are we at war with Portugal? We're not. So the Iberian Peninsula is not allied. But we got to do something about this. The 273 trade power that Portugal is applying in this region is just no good. So we definitely need to strip some lands away from the Spanish to increase our base trade power in the region, get a fleet in the area, and start shifting it north. Because shifting it west, or east, let me get my directions straight, is sending it all into the Western European trade node, which we're not doing anything in, because that trade power is getting ridiculous to contend with. Although it gets worse once we're not at war with Spain and Spain's trade fleet returns. So, what are we going to do about that? I definitely want to increase our presence here. At the very least, that'll increase Cuba's ability to just collect taxes there, which is what I believe they're doing. I'm not 100% sure that's the case, but I'm like 80% sure that's the case. So, even if we can just get Cuba collecting more, we're golden. I think. It's early in the morning, so all of this could be wrong. Wouldn't surprise me, but that's what I think's going on. Meanwhile, if we take a look at the continent, British Mexico is doing some great work. However, the rest of the colonies, they're kind of falling flat on their face here. So, once we're done taking Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Turks and Caicos, and the Bahamas, in fact, I'd like to take Bermuda as well, although Bermuda, it's a nice spot, but it's pretty useless as far as I'm concerned for anything that I need to do. I'm more concerned about getting those islands around Cuba and Hispaniola. Which really, if I could, I would rename this island. Because calling it Hispaniola while it's been dominated by the English doesn't make any sense. So I guess we could call that, I don't know, New Britain? Although that's over here, isn't it? Somewhere over here. But I mean, whatever New Britain would be, it's probably not New Britain. I think it's some of these islands up here. Solomon Islands. Oh, well, you know, in my head anyway, Hispaniola is now the new Great Britain. New Little Britain? New Little Britain. Maybe we don't even need new if we have little. Anyway, this is just rambling now. Incoherent. Incoherent rambling. That's what I'm best at, I think. Anyway, let's get back to fighting a war, shall we? So, we're actually doing quite well against the Spanish. Although this does worry me a little bit. So it looks like... Oh. Good, no, that's Dutch. This orange looks yellow to me. So... Got a hair in my mouth. Joys of having a beard. Right, so we don't have to worry about that. I mean, if that goes to the Netherlands, whatevs. I'm not concerned either way. I'd like them to come to me, but I'm not going to go out of my way to make those come to me. So, that's enough with nothing going on. Let's unpause the game and continue the war, shall we? So we're rolling in cash. We're fighting a very successful defensive war. I'm hoping my colonies, specifically British Mexico, take a nice large chunk out of New Spain. My plan here is to drive this to 100% and then just see what we can get. Oh no, our royal marriage with Austria has ended. And it looks like the Spanish have come along and have decided to fight us. So we're going to retreat all of our armies out. Not quite sure how our military lost here, but it found a way. Regardless, we're just going to reform the African army. And as tempting as it is to give them a leader, they don't have a leader there, so I don't think we need a leader here. Let's reform that army of Africa. We're not going to consolidate troops, because what consolidate troops is going to do, it is going to make all these units, you know, more effective, but there's going to be far less of those units. So I'd rather just dip into my 103,000 manpower ability, or manpower pool, and, you know, oops. Excuse my snotty inhaling. It's disgusting. Something I gotta live with. But, yeah, instead of shrinking the army of Africa to make it effective, we'll just dip into our manpower pool and wait a bit and make it effective. So we've got a diplomatic tech coming in, which is going to increase our naval morale, but it also increase our naval maintenance by just a little bit. That's going to get expensive. Let's see how much of that's going to hurt. I believe quite a lot. Oh, what do we got here? 1 heavy ship and 10 light ships against 5 heavy ships and 20 frigates. We'll see how this goes. Thankfully, we'll of course have our allies' navies sailing around, attempting to help out. And that should be, yeah, that's quite an easy victory. I have a feeling leaving this fleet here is possibly not a good idea. They desperately need repairs, so we'll send them into Tortuga and let them repair up. Siege of Pueblo. Excellent. Oh, no, not excellent. Stand corrected. Come on, British Mexico, get your ducks in a row and let's get on this, shall we? Let's just take a look. So, I mean, this army is reforming. It is going to take a little bit of time. But it looks like that 9,000 troops in Africa have gone elsewhere for now, which I'm okay with. We got some rebels here. Dutch peasants. Oh, that's a Netherlands colony. For some reason, man, these orange places are looking yellow to me, and I'm not sure why. And I don't think the Spanish are going to be getting involved anywhere else. It is kind of tempting to go up here. See if we can't get chunks of their Eastern Empire. Perhaps even Australia might be a possibility, although... Oh, hello. I had no idea there was so much gold here. I would be going for these provinces much sooner had I known that. It is tempting to get the Army of India over there, working on the Australians. So maybe we'll go ahead and do that. Although, man, adding another continent to this war... just adding to my headaches and micromanagement, which, if you know me, is definitely not my strong suit. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue the sieging of the Turks and Caicos. I believe that's what these are. The Turks, yes. So, Turks and Caicos Islands. Good, keep it up. Then we'll snag the Bahamas and Jamaica, and maybe even Curaçao down there. We could even go for places like St. Martin, St. Kitts, Guadeloupe, and Martinique, and Barbados, and Trinidad, really. But those are pretty tiny islands. Granted, they are producing good things, but we don't necessarily need to go crazy on the taking of the Caribbean islands. Getting these here would just be a good base. What else do we even want to get involved? Whoa! Galicia formed. Spain is in a world of hurt. That is for sure. Blockade of New York. So that would mean New York has been captured. Okay, good. We're getting it back. And it looks like Austria has decided not only are they going to be fighting Spain in Europe, which is groovy as all get out, but they're going to go for possibly expanding their presence. Can we... That is a core, so we can go ahead and start converting. Austria is looking like it's going to expand its presence on the continent, and that is just fine by me. I'm okay with the Austrians getting involved in North America. As ahistorical as it is, this game is already pretty ahistorical, so that's cool. Who is this? Are you a protectorate of the Dutch? You are allied with the Netherlands. Huh. That's rare to see an army of India invading French Florida. That's crazy. I love it. I love it. All right, our fleet is repaired, so we will send them in to blockade the Turks. We shouldn't take any attrition because this is a friendly port. So that's good. We'll just work that little island down and take it for ourselves. Excellent. And here comes the Spanish fleet. So let's take a look. Their morale is pretty low. And it looks like we sunk everything. Oh no, we got one captured ship. I'm not sure where. We may have captured a light ship. Because I don't think... Yeah, the San Gabriel. It's definitely not one of ours. So, come on. Get into port. Attach you to ships. Oops. Come on. Give me the fleet. And then we'll head on up to the Bahamas. And the Royal Marines right now, they are getting to see some beautiful locations while they sail around the world. All right, so they've actually got 7,000 units with a leader. We have 20,000 troops without a leader, and these guys are looking like they could use a little R&R to just sort of rest up and, well, repair, basically. What do we got there? Cuba? That's fine. What I'm going to do is just give my Royal Marines a little time off in Guantanamo, which is a great vacation spot. Excellent. We've got another corps set, and the new governor in British Mexico. Do we want to keep him, or do we want to send someone new? We're going to send someone new, and it's British Mexico, so we're going to need a military candidate right now because, well, we need our big freaking military colony to be doing some military work. Okay, so the army's sitting around in the Castilian West Indies, or in Jamaica there. That's looking like an easier attack. So once these guys get back up to 20,000 troops, we will send them that way. It looks like the army of Africa has gone ahead and reformed itself. So let's go see if we can't pick a fight with some Spaniards. Just march them in. Do we have any leaders, come to think of it? We don't have any. So I'm being a bit too cautious. What I think I'm going to do, as tempting as it is to put a leader in charge of the Army of Africa, I'll put him with the Royal Marines instead. Because they're going to be doing, it looks like, more fighting with armies with leaders. Africa's kind of, for a change, not a big theater of operations in this war. It certainly is for us. We got 25,000 troops marching around out here. The Spanish, I think, have 10-ish, around that number. And, oh, whatever. Nope, let's unpause this so we actually make some progress here. And I want to find their army that's kicking around here first. There it is. All right. So we got 24 to 14,000, 13,000 infantry and 1 artillery, to 16,000 infantry, 2 cavalry, and 7 artillery. That's a good fight. Let's see how this goes. So we're starting off with a morale penalty, obviously because of the tech level, and that might actually wind up hurting us more than I think it's going to. Monarchs ruled by issuing ordinances, but they were almost always powerless to enforce them. Enforcement depended upon the local powers, nobles, or the city governments that would not always be as vigilant as the monarchs would have desired. We can let them handle it, or we can increase attempts. We'll just increase our attempts. Dutch Peru. All right, they've canceled our military access. Battle off the coast of Iceland. Looks like our trade squadron here took some serious losses in that battle. Yeah. Yeah, we've got to do something with Africa here, so perhaps we will need a leader there. There's something to think about. Okay, so we got Protestant faith there. There. We're working on these two. Well, no, we're not working on this one, so let's send a missionary there. And we'll get the Protestant faith started up in China. Okay, so it looks like the Spanish are returning favors here. And when we hop around the world taking lands from them, they hop around the world taking lands from us. So let's see how we can't sort of turn the tides here and maybe go ahead and take ourselves a little bit of the island of Jamaica just for us. New governor in British Columbia. We are going to send a military candidate. because we are at war in the region, and gosh darn it, we need some military power. Our colony, British Columbia, has decided to form their own assembly in order to take control of tax legislation and budgets. No doubt because I sent them a military candidate while we're fighting a war. They claim that these matters are better handled locally, but it seems suspiciously like a first step towards independence. Suspicious indeed. But I'm not that concerned about it. Nor am I that concerned about Spanish peasants popping up there. British Mexico's got a handle on that. So I think the reason why we're able to stomp through these Spanish colonies so easily and are yet having problems with Spain in Africa here is just the fact that Spain is a full military attack ahead of us, whereas it looks like their colonies are not. So as concerning as this is... And why are the Spanish wearing red coats but with yellow pants? That makes it confusing. Red coats shooting red coats. It's all crazy. What I will do, though, is get ourselves a good leader, Hugh Wolf, in charge of the Army of Africa. So now we are taking a little bit of a hit when it comes to military points, but we're still increasing, which is good. And now we've got a leader there where they don't have a leader. So those guys should be almost all set. And then we will hopefully be able to do some damage to that stack that's saying, hey, we're going to go after the Gold Coast. No, Spain. No, you're not, my friend. We're taking over Africa. Gosh darn it. You're just going to have to deal with it. I've got to say, the war is starting to turn around here. Spain is starting to rebound a bit, which is a little bit concerning, but thankfully they are still at war with Austria and the Holy Roman Empire. So none of those two nations that I've called in have gone off on a separate peace, which is, you know, pretty self-explanatory because, I mean, the war, well, it's starting to turn. It's still going quite well for us. All right, so we're basically full strength there. I'm not going to worry about getting 2 infantry in white as 3rd Regiment there. We're just going to send these guys south and see if we can't do a little bit of damage. A revolt in Mescalero. Okay, that's fine. Let's just watch this fight. It is concerning how much of a disadvantage we're going in with. And especially when a leader starts rolling zeros. You never want a leader to be rolling zeros. And so what looks like is going to be happening here is the Gold Coast is going to be a battle of attrition. So let's take a look at the ledger. And we are going to need country. Oh geez, now I've lost it. Hold on. Let's look at the ledger. And we need military. There we go. So by armies. And I'm wondering manpower. So here we are with 99,000, obviously taking a little bit of a hit from our 100 and whatever it is. But where's Spain? Spain's way down here with 18,000. So in a battle of attrition in Africa, sure, they're winning all these battles, but they're losing a lot of men that they can't really replace, whereas we're losing men. We can replace them. So I think this war, is going to be going our way. Yeah, look at that. Seminole there is occupied by an Indian nation. That's crazy. If they are able to take that in a peace agreement, mind equals blown. So you can see over here in Africa, we suffered about 2,500 losses, give or take. But we're able to replace those losses, and Spain, theoretically, shouldn't be able to replace those losses. Alright, so we've got this entire region set up to be Protestant. That's good. It is going to take quite a lot of diplomatic power to make these guys English. I'm not going to be that concerned about it for now. We can leave it with, you know, hand culture for now. That's fine. As long as they're Protestant, and really in this case Anglican, that's all I care about. Whoops. Zooming in a bit too much. Unnecessarily on the sea. How are we doing? We probably still have that Spanish ship. A little bit damaged, but that's okay. We'll move them into Central Caribbean. So when we take the island, we can just destroy this light and heavy ship. Perfect. Now head on in. And let's move on from Jamaica. On up to the Bahamas. And then if we want to, we can land the Royal Marines in Florida or up in New Spain or Castilian, Louisiana. But I don't think we really need to. British Mexico's doing a great job themselves of making sure that we're winning this war. So let's get the Royal Marines down into the Bahamas. We've got 7,000 troops with a 2-star general. Oh, no, we are running. So we've got 20,000 troops with a 1-star general. Let's see how William Clive and the Royal Marines handle the situation. Peasant uprising. Hang Sao is now considered part of our patrimony. That is good. We're just going to need to make sure you become Protestant now. And then I think that's going to be that for the region. Excellent. We're slowly expanding our control in the Chinese mainland. All right. Easy win. That's good. We'll take care of those 2 light ships when they pop out. And now let's head back to Africa. See how things are going here. Look at that. We're fully repaired. Granted, so are the Spanish. Pretty much. But actually, let's... Well, no. No matter how we get into the Gold Coast, it's going to be crossing rivers. Probably the same going from Ouagadougou down into the Ivory Coast. So that's a bit of a pain. 11th of August, we're going to get there 13th of August. So we can come in, quickly recapture the Gold Coast, and then, you know, pursue the Spanish army of the Gold Coast there. And, you know, 136,000 men. I'm tempted to just do an all-out assault here. Yeah, we didn't take that many losses. And they didn't gain any land, so suck it. Alright, well that's a bit of a concern, but I'm sure British Mexico is going to be able to handle a little bit of a rebel problem. Alright, Wichita is in revolt. You can see this is going fairly well. As long as we keep knocking these troops down. Well, Siege of the Bahamas, that was over quickly. Let's win that battle with the fleet and just keep our eye on the action in Africa. And we captured one of their ships, so I'm okay with that. Alright, so we lost the battle, but like I say, we may be losing the battle, but in Africa we're winning the war. So let's head on back here. Send the ships in. Grab the Colonial Marines. And now where do we want to go? Again, like I say, island hopping through here could be useful, but it's going to be kind of freaking annoying. A lot of micromanagement involved in jumping around between here. Oh, hello. 32,000 men coming on up in British Mexico. That's a bit of a concern, and they're Spanish, so they're going to have a tech advantage against whoever we go after. I would love to see these 41,000 troops up here perhaps come down here. There's really not much I can do to assist unless I want to take a chunk out of the Royal Army and send them over. Spoiler alert, I don't really want to do that. Although what I could do is set them up in someplace like Honduras or Belize or something, form up a 40,000 stack, and then, well, that would be the best defensive position to take, because that's the only province that they could go through until we get to pretty much nowhere. Could also do it with the Army of Africa, but I need those guys there. Alright, we're just going to pretend like we didn't see those 32,000 troops storming through Mexico. It's not really my problem anyway, because they're storming through Mexico. Mexico should be able to protect itself. So where do we take the Royal Marines next? Tempted to land them in someplace like Florida here. Let's see, how are we looking? What's their tech level? Their military tech level is the same as ours. So if we come in here, we could, obviously with the Austrians doing their thing, although they've got plenty of troops there. I might let them do their thing. Oh, thank you, Austria, for coming in and helping out New York. New Yorkers appreciate it. So where do I want to send these Royal Marines? I guess, well, no, we should come back here and retake that. We shouldn't ever leave our lands captured. Let's just make sure. Hold on. No. Go back. The governor of Cuba, they get a military candidate. There we go. Okay, colonists. For a second there, I thought those were merchants, and I'm like, we got a spare merchant kicking around here too, don't we? All right, let's take a look where we can drop them. I'm tempted to put them here and shift trade northward. Transfer trade power. Isaac Blake. So he'll get there in 121 days and start shifting trade up, which is good. That's going to be helpful. Meanwhile, let's head back here, take a look at how things are going. So, yeah, we're slowly recouping our losses, whereas Spain is finding it more and more difficult to replace the men they're losing. So I like it. Okay, so there are some definite problems going on with the continual campaign in Spain, but that's fine. A few local workers in the administration have discovered what they claim is a more efficient way to handle documents. Obviously, they do not know what they are talking about, but can it hurt to let them try their new ideas? Honestly, with inflation at 0, no, it can't. More points is good. Let's land the Royal Marines. (1792) was considered a particularly good year for Great Britain due to good harvests, generating higher incomes than ever before. We could gain 25 ducats, or we could gain administrative points. I think we'll just gain the administrative points. 25 ducats, not all that useful. 376. Yeah, we could just siege that, or we're obviously sieging it. We could just assault it. But I'm going to let that tick down a bit, maybe weaken the defenses a slight amount. I'm proud of you, Austria. You're really doing good work here. We're not quite ready yet, but we could move these guys back to the Gold Coast while they reform. And here's what I was worried about was getting revolts on these little islands, because it's not easy to squash those. But of course, whether the land's occupied by us or rebels, at least it's not occupied by Spain. It is Puerto Rico, and if I can, it's one of the islands that I would like to claim out of this war. Damn, we really need to do something about this Spanish army that's coming up through Mexico. We desperately need to do something about that. There isn't really much we can do at the moment, though. And one of the things that I am concerned about when getting another military tech here is obviously we're going to be getting new infantry and new cavalry, which means the organization of our army is just going to drop to nothing. Yay, we've converted the heretics in Hanzhou and we've achieved religious unity, so let's go ahead and see if there is something that we can't do. We can protect against Spain, have an army equal or larger than Spain, and we can certainly afford to do that. And finally, our naval force limits have gone up. That is very exciting, so we're not wasting money supporting our massive fleet anymore. We've got to establish a colony in North America, which is just not going to happen, and claim our rival province, Ida. So where is Ida? Right there. It is producing ivory. I do like that, and I am going to be looking for a new land in Africa once we can get those guys killed. We'll wait till July 1st. Gain a general, so that... Hugh Wolfe, Matthew Talbot. I don't think we need Matthew Talbot. He's not a very good general that we gained. So we'll just get rid of him and send these guys back. They're running 24th of July, 19th of July. That's good. We're going to catch them. Overseas expansion against Bangladesh. That's cool. Mescalero is owned by the rebels. That's not cool. Yeah, so this Spanish army sensed it. Granted, we're taking an awful lot of losses. But like I say, nothing the Spanish can do about it, really. Oh, they're sending in reinforcements. But, yeah. I have a feeling pretty quickly here we'll be able to knock that army down. Where to begin? It seems that settlers from 5 colonies has ventured into Micmac, a province of Newfoundland, in search of new land and resources. Newfoundland then sent their militia to drive them out, but they got overzealous and pursued the settlers back into Abnaki, raiding and burning. The conflict then escalated when 5 colonies sent their militia to drive out the Newfoundland militia and carry out raids of their own into Micmac. The governor of Newfoundland, Archibald Hood, is blaming the governor of 5 colonies, George William Baffin, and vice versa. How do we solve this without losing face? So, I have a feeling here I know who I'm going to side with. I'm going to side with, obviously, the much bigger colony. But let's take a look. This is the first time I've seen anything like this, so let's take a look at what is actually going on here. We can let them sort it out themselves, and we're not going to do that, because that's going to be a massive loss of prestige. We could side with Newfoundland or we could side with the 5 colonies by removing Archibald Hood. We're not going to do that. We could remove a Governor George William Baffin, or we could just sort out their differences. We're in no rush for the next diplomatic tech level, so we can just sort out their differences. Spend the 50 diplomatic points, find a diplomatic solution to this, bizarre problem we're facing, and should we go ahead and assault this? I think we should go ahead and assault this. Yep, that was the right decision. Head on into port. Perfect. And now, get back on your ships. We can go and solve this problem here of Puerto Rico being jerks. My word, this army is well working their way up through Mexico. Granted, we've captured more of New Spain than they have of British Mexico, but that 32,000 troops is very concerning. Okay, we're not going to be burning the heretics in Iroquois. They've been incredibly good allies this entire time, and I'm not about to become a jerk and backstab my native friends. That would just be rude. Alright, well that solves that problem. Send that fleet back. Let's take a look how the situation is going in Africa, and it's going quite well, actually. Really? You want to go to Wida? I don't think you want to go to Wida. So we're just going to march around there for a bit. Chase an army. And now we need to figure out where we're going to be sending our Royal Marines after Puerto Rico. And I'm not going to lie, those Caribbean nations are starting to look pretty juicy and tasty. Or we could land in British Columbia and help out what's going on there from Castilian Brazil. Which might not be a bad idea. Austria's got Castilian Brazil all worried. So we might do that. I think we're going to have to do that. Yeah, let's do that. Get on your ships. And we'll land in Magdalena. Or, hell, let's do this right. Let's show our colonial nations that we support them. We're going to land in Cartagena, the capital. Because it's not just about efficient use of your troops. It's also about showing your colonies that, hey, we are a great power. And you guys need to stop worrying. Okay, so that'll give us some more troops. And we can see they're desperately trying to get themselves consolidated here with another artillery unit and what's left of their 13,000 infantry. So let's just keep going. And thus it must be. He looks out across the crowd assembled in the grand lecture hall at Oxfordshire University, that we come to the aid of our country now, in its time of need, as it has always come to ours in our times of need. The pen is mightier than the sword, they say. I do not know if that is the case, but if it is, then Great Britain need not fear. Long live King William IV, long live Great Britain. Jubilant are the cheers when the students, as one man, march off to join the army. March this flower of youth off to war. War is no excuse to drop out of school. We don't need the manpower. We really don't. So, war's no excuse, man. Let's get that administrative power. You guys, we need bureaucrats while we fight a war. Aha. We've got you trapped, my friend. So we'll just continue to work down that army. You can see their discipline is higher. They will have a bit of a tactics bonus as well, but this is a fight of attrition. And now we're winning. So they're going to be heading probably somewhere back to their Spanish lands. Let's go follow them. How's this going? This is going to be going pretty successfully very shortly. And perhaps we can, with the Royal Marines being present down here, sort of convince that army that's marching through British Mexico to head on back to British Columbia and maybe do a little bit of defensive work. As tempting as it is to use the colonial or the Royal Marines here to sort of carpet siege the area, well, maybe that's what we will do. That is such a waste of this army, though. And I'm not going to be really paying attention. So no, we're not going to do that. We're going to send them back to get to their ships. Look, British Columbia, we've done our due diligence. We've gotten rid of the army that's plaguing your borders. However, you're gonna need to come along and clean it up. The mother country can't do everything. Come on, just give me my ships. So where to go now? I guess we're just going to start island hopping here. So the first place we're going to go is for Caraco. And let's pause it. Go check out what's going on here. Not much. I definitely want to find where their army is hiding. So they can't really reform and regroup. Austria accepted peace with their former enemy, Spain. On the following terms, Spain will renounce their claims on Bari. Spain will pay 438 ducats. So Austria is out of the war. It's a bit of a letdown, but the Holy Roman Empire is still in. So that's good. We'll still have forces working on our side that are nice and big. You want to go to Benin? I don't think so. It's not how this is going to work, Spain. And this is indeed the same army, right? No, it isn't. It's a much smaller army. I wonder if they consolidated their forces or if there's some Spanish troops still kicking around. Regardless, this is my mission objective. Form a claim. Oh, son of a... Yeah. Okay. We'll just take the land. We'll go one step ahead of the mission assignment and just take Ida. That's fine. If I could take Borgu, Nupe, Pindinga, and Ida, that would be okay. I would be just fine with that. Although that's a lot of African territory that I'm going to have to lay siege to. And I don't know if I really want to do that. Let's take the Royal Marines and go take Caraco. Again? And that is a much larger army that they've used there. Ah, because they've got Castilian La Plata and Castilian Brazil working together. Alright, well that's something we're going to have to address. And this game is going on. Or this episode is going on. So let's see. I mean, we're almost at 50% war score here. So let's see what we can ask, what we can claim from our ally, or from our from our glorious... How much is that going to... That's going to cost 100% war score. That would be funny. They've forced me to release Scotland. I kind of want to force them to release Aragon. And as an aside, guys, why have I not gone after Scotland? Because it's pointless. We're Great Britain. We don't need fish or wool or fish or iron or fish. We don't need any of that. And granted, I mean, I know I've put time and money into improving these lands. That's fine. You know, Scotland can exist and be free. The benefits that you get from Scotland in this game are important to form Great Britain, but it's not like the Scottish lands are integral. If they're going to exist, they're going to exist. And in fact, I might want to send one of my diplomats who aren't doing anything and just improve relations with these guys. Because, I mean, they don't have any allies. They're rivaled to people that we don't really care about. They'll do fine to be an ally. We don't need to worry about conquering Scotland, because it's not necessary. Anyway, guys, on that note, I think this is going to be a great place as I stretch. This is going to be a great place to leave the video. So let's go ahead and save it. Thumbs up if you have enjoyed it. Leave your comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, jokes, musings, what have you below. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.